being 7 o'clock, we will call the regular meeting of the, I didn't ask, are we all set out there? Cable? We good to go? We look like we're all.
Yep.
All right, I'll start over again. Being 7 o'clock, we'll start with our regular meeting of the school committee of the town of Foxborough, August 29th, 2016. At 7 p.m., we will have visitors. 7:05, approval of minutes. 7:10 p.m., we'll have an update on summer work in preparation for the opening of school with Mr. Bill Yukna, Mr. Aaron Heyer, Mr. Tony Masali, and Mr. Carl Fuller, our new assistant facilities manager. 7:30, we will have our school committee vote to approve our 2016-2017 school district goals. 7:45, we're going to have the first reading of some policies with our policy subcommittee, Ms. Lord and Mr. Connolly. Policy IHAMB, teaching about alcohol, drugs, and tobacco. Policy JICG, tobacco use by students. Policy JICH, alcohol, tobacco, and drug use by students prohibited. And JLCD, administering medicines to students. At 8:15, we will talk about our school committee appointment of our delegate to the MASC convention. 8:20, we will have the Bi-County Collaborative BICO quarterly update with Mrs. Spinelli. And 8:30 p.m., we will turn our attention to other matters. Do we have any visitors who wish to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of minutes. So the first minutes we have in front of us are from our July 18th, 2016 summer special meeting at the Mill Street Recreation Hall. Does anybody have any comments or questions, thoughts, discussion?
I look fine.
I thought so too.
Motion to approve?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Got it.
All those in favor?
I'm abstaining as I was not
Okay.
in attendance of that meeting.
All right, 401. Approval of minutes. Our next meeting minutes are the August 15, 2016 policy subcommittee meeting minutes that Ms. Lord has submitted. Does anybody have any comments or questions on that? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll motion to approve those.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Marilyn. All those in favor? 500. Okay. Yes, if everyone seems to be here for our update on summer work in preparation for the opening of school, so I'll turn it over to Mr. Yukna and company.
Okay, I'd like to start with technology just because Erin has a family issue to deal with, so if we
Okay.
could.
Good evening.
Thank
It's
you.
nice to be here with you again at the end of the summer as we get ready to start up school and report all the good work that's been done. So this summer was a particularly busy summer with some big projects. So I'll highlight those, and then I'll talk about some of the regular maintenance and things that took place as well. So starting off with the installation implementation of the new security camera system and card access system at all 5 schools in the district. As you know, this is a culmination of many years of work and planning and design, and I'm happy to report that that system is up and running for this school year. We continue to work with other community partners, including police and fire, to give appropriate access to them and make sure that the school buildings are safe. Next big project is installation of a new town-wide system, and actually we still have some of our techs in the district working on this project here, and with full anticipation that this will be ready for the opening of school, will help us communicate and also also augments our safety plan, our ability to communicate throughout the building and the buildings and towns. So this work included all school buildings, town hall, council on aging, recreation, sewer, water, and public works.
The nice thing about this one is now we are all, it's a logical system now. So it's buildings have a number, and then rooms are underneath that building number. So as far as us having directories going forward, whether we're talking to town hall or we're talking to our own buildings, it's a more logical, the office will always be the building number plus a main office number. So internally, we can communicate a lot easier and a lot quicker through that process. And, as Aaron had said, basically, this is a massive system we have hundreds of phone numbers that are being converted. Unfortunately, we ran into some problems with the conversion through the phone company not wanting to give up the numbers to the next company, and so they pushed us today. So today has been a little hectic. We're getting and not getting some phone calls, but it's really kind of converting pretty fast, actually. And we hope, tomorrow to be in pretty good shape on that one.
The system's over 500 telephones. It adds features like
Wow.
call forwarding, conference calling. All the phones are equipped with intercom paging and other functionality that we previously has been unavailable to us through the old operating phone systems that we've had. And some of the features we'll continue to harness after we get the system fully deployed.
I
With
think we
over
told
500
you.
telephones.
Yeah, I think we told you the reason it took so long really on selecting the vendor on this one was because one of the biggest issues we had was under the 911 situation. Most of the phone systems basically will get you into a building. So if the police got a 911 call from within the building, all they know is to come to the building. They don't know it was in a wing of the building or a specific room. This system is actually capable of going right down to the room. So it really, when they're coming in the door, they know they're going to the second floor to a certain room, which again, I think is a huge function when you look at these bigger buildings especially. So
Some of the new functionality, the system integrates also with our card access security and our camera system. So for instance, when somebody calls out to 911, the call actually goes to the office and to some key telephones as well. So they can't intercept, they can't interfere with the call, but they can hear the call and then they can start to prepare their response. So for instance, if a call goes out for medical, maybe somebody gets injured in the weight room of the gym, that call will go to 911, but it also can be heard in the office where the nurse can be alerted and the nurse can be sent towards the gym to start providing first aid. Also, depending on the call, it really changes what your response might be. So for medical, they might do a shelter in place to ensure student privacy. If there's a stranger in the building, for instance, though, they'll know right away, and that might warrant a different response. So,
and the big advantage to that one was what was happening in the past is, again, the call would go out. The medical would show up to the front office and say, where is the issue? And they didn't even know there was a call.
Right.
sometimes
So
the people
now
in the
they will
office-
actually have the heads up before, as that call's going into the police or the fire department, someone like Diane would actually get it on her phone. Again, like Aaron said, be able to listen, this is room 122, I have a kid that fainted on the floor, blah, blah. She can't interrupt the phone call, she can't do anything with it. All she can do is hear it. And so, again, with only designated people, obviously it doesn't go to everybody in the building, but only designated people would have that feature, and it gives them the immediate response that she knows that there's something happening, and she can deal with it and get ready to deal with it. So,
Well, I know it took a long time to get this up and running, but it sounds like it's worth the wait,
absolutely.
definitely. I do have a sort of a practical question. It's not a safety and security issue, but I do know in the past with classroom teachers, we've had a hard time leaving voicemail messages for teachers, that there's been a bit of sometimes a delay in the receipt of the messages. Is that problem going to be
So we've
addressed? I
really-
know it seems silly now, everybody
No,
does
that's
email,
probably what
but
people
I'm
out
just
at home
It's
curious.
actually a great question. So one of the things that quite a bit of thought went into was teacher voicemail. In the past, teacher voicemail had been assigned to classrooms. So teachers are assigned to classrooms on an annual basis.
Yeah.
Some teachers share classrooms or rotate classrooms. And their voicemail was tied to that classroom. So it required them to be in that classroom to check their voicemail. Sometimes at the high school and middle school, if there's rotating or switching classrooms or schedules, that could make it more difficult. Also, just the routine maintenance, the moves, adds, and changes. Anytime teachers were moving throughout the building, their voicemail numbers were changing, which could be confusing at times. Your voicemail ID changes. So now, with the new system, each teacher is assigned a voicemail ID as part of the onboarding process. So for new teachers, it's part of their hiring process. and that ID stays their ID, and it's retrievable from any telephone in the district, and it's also retrievable
That's
from
great.
outside of the district. So they can call in and they can access that voicemail from anywhere.
That's fantastic. That's going to correct an issue.
If you think about how
when
many
it comes
decades
up.
old the phone system
Yeah.
was, though, the
Right.
only
Oh,
way
yeah.
to do it back then was to tie it
Totally
to a
different.
room. But that's obviously totally inefficient, so.
And the other thing,
Sure, they're looking forward to
we
that.
were using an old Centrix system, which was very expensive to run, probably $55,000 a year for the town to manage that. And I think, Aaron, you had a rough number.
Yeah, there's a considerable reduction in costs on this, so, and it's kind of a less for more situation as well. So, in the past, the way that the Centrax system was actually the first hosted phone system, really, giving schools 3-digit dialing between the buildings, but all at a measured rate. So every time somebody from the Ahern would call the IGO, it's at, say 1.2 cents a minute. If you called,
Really
if you called out to the town, out to the town or one of the town facilities, again, 1.2, 1.4 cents a minute. And then think of the old regional long distance system that was in place where calling Walpole might be 9 or 12 cents a minute. So still being under a system like that. So this system provides us with unlimited calling to the continental USA.
A little complicated, right?
Imagine.
And virtually eliminates things like busy signals when you think about.
No
when
one
you-
knows what those are, do they?
Yeah, when you call into a building, the building like the high school, the main office had 4 telephone lines, so it didn't happen often, but it could happen where those 4 lines were in use on the main office, and you could get a busy signal. So now with the new system, it shares a pool of lines, and there's really plenty to really ensure that there's never a busy signal.
That's great.
Aaron, the main building number for parents to use, I assume that hasn't changed.
It has not changed, no.
So for anyone listening, this is more in the building than.
Yep, inside the building,
We
correct.
ported over all of the numbers that we had. So if you had a number that you were used to for the athletic director, for a school nurse, in some cases have their own specific, those numbers all remain the same and are being tagged to the same phones and stuff like that. So that's what we're trying to work out right now, is complete all that. But that was the 500 lines that we had to wait to come over. It was because we needed to keep all of our
Numbers,
our actual
same
numbers.
You've got a few more days.
We do a couple
Very
more
few.
days, so and we'll be utilizing every minute of them to make sure that everything's ready to go. But we should be in good shape today. Really, getting the numbers to port over and getting them into our control was really a big step for us today.
Great.
So.
I mean, this was a great update, but it's really is an understatement of how huge this project was. So it's been months and months, and working with current provider, future provider. So I just want to thank you for your persistence, because it has not been easy all summer.
Well, thank you.
That'd be an understatement, too.
So also it adds a variety of services and to us, such as auto attendance and self-service. People can call in and can get directions, can get updates on hours, can find out about events and things like that. So we'll continue to expand those features too as we get the system up and running and people comfortable with them. So on to some of the annual summer updates. Over 850 computers were inventoried and were maintained this summer in terms of both hardware and software updates. We installed approximately 20 new interactive projector systems, including interactive table systems in some of the pre-K programs throughout the district. A lot of things on the back end this summer. Installed 4 new file servers to manage and host all of the town's and schools' files. So approximately 8 terabytes of school data was migrated from old servers to new servers. And we really feel that this upgrade will be seen in terms of the speed and responsiveness. It also provides, these new servers provide layers of backups and redundancy that were unavailable to us in the past. New servers were installed for our Snap Health system. This is a system that maintains all of our student health records, primarily used by the student nurses. It is compliant with all HIPAA laws, and this new system will provide a stable platform for them to continue keeping accurate health records, and all of the clients were updated as well. We also installed new client hardware for our NutriKids point-of-sale service, which is our food service point-of-sale and nutrition tracking software. And all those clients were updated as well, provide a seamless and good business continuity through our food service program, and keep that stuff up and running. So we also installed a new PowerSchool server this summer for a testing and training environment. So this is something that's very important, especially with all of the changes in data reporting and with all of the things that we're introducing in terms of data, to be able to have a platform where teachers can actually train with real data within the system and not be worried about making mistakes or having things go wrong. It also allows us to test updates and things like that prior to implementing them.
Since you're mentioning PowerSchool, I've had at least a dozen people ask me in the last week when it's going to be up and running for parents, because I know it's down now. I'm sorry to put you on the spot right now, but you mentioned it, so.
It should be up and running in the next couple of days, so that's a decision that's made in the building office, and it's really per building, and it's based on things like scheduling and when that information is ready and accurate to go out to the public.
Okay.
So, but in the next couple of days, I would anticipate that those will be opening up.
Thank you.
We started a phased deployment of Windows 10 and Office 2016, the newest operating system and office productivity software. It's a phased implementation, so we started this with some of our mobile devices and some of our computing labs at the high school and the middle school. Great project here. A new state-of-the-art foreign language lab was installed over this summer, a product called Robotel. It allows for both real-time communication between student and teachers. It's electronic. It's almost like teleconferencing or video conferencing, or a combination of the two. It allows for students to work individually or at a self-pace or in a live manner with teacher-led activities. It also allows students to correspond with each other. So if the teacher is doing a speaking activity, students can actually be randomly paired throughout the lab, and they can see each other on the video for things like ASL and have an ASL communication or conversation using ASL. Or they can speak in any of the languages that are taught here, Spanish or French. And those conversations are recorded. They can be critiqued by the teacher, or the teacher can observe them live while they happen. So this is a great opportunity for students to use, the newest technology while learning foreign language.
That's great.
And we really think it's quite an opportunity for students to have this program here. Some updates to our Microsoft Office 365 suite. We have added Microsoft Classroom to Office 365 this summer. So Microsoft Classroom is an online learning platform that integrates with PowerSchool and allows teachers to provide content and feedback. Really takes our offering through Office 365 to the next level. Bring in things like their class rosters. It integrates with the OneNote notebook, which we talk about a lot. So it's new and something we'll be rolling out to teachers this year. Quite a bit of switch work has been done, continuing on the work that's been done in the past years. We talked about upgrading kind of our highways, our information superhighway, and further continuing to upgrade our switching infrastructure to support more wireless clients and more connectivity. Over the last 2 years, we've rolled out approximately 500 plus mobile devices. So as we continue to do that, we continue to upgrade switching and wireless to make sure that the experience is reliable. I'm sure I'm left out a number of things.
If you haven't, that
You've
was a
covered
lot.
a lot. I was going to say you've covered a lot.
I think actually, no.
This is an awful.
I'm sure I've lifted 1,000 things, but if there's any
2-3 months?
questions, I'd be happy to answer.
This was a banner summer, as if the others haven't been
Every
before.
summer you can
But
talk
I
like
think
this.
one of the things
is
the committee had
incredible.
asked for was to get a sense of where we were with school security, so this gives you a piece of it. I think we'd like to put it on the agenda as a formal item
Yes.
later in the fall, but you certainly now know where we are with the security cameras and the phone system, which is key and are integrated. But I've had several meetings with Chief Hatfield and would like for the new police chief to come. And then we're going to actually look at all of our school security and safety plans and emergency plans with them in the fall. So maybe at that point, we'll put it on the agenda for late fall, I would call it.
Sounds good.
So
really did quite well in terms of the implementation of our school security system, in terms of the coverage that we've been able to gain, and the
It's
security
impressive.
gained through the integration between the card access, between the telephone system and the cameras. They all integrate together, so.
Yeah, and I
We
would
did
say
have a
this-
tour, I want to make sure we said, we did have a tour with Aaron of all the schools and the cameras and where they are, so we just have, I think, finish the installation of the monitors in the office areas, and then that will also, I think the last pieces really are just they will all be on a swipe system like we have at the Ahern, and eventually we'll have staff IDs that will swipe as well, so
We've been
just a
working-
few last pieces, but the bulk of the work's been done. It's pretty impressive.
That's
I
all
would
in
say that
place.
the camera system itself, when you do see the final outcome of it, it is extremely clear. So if we have an issue, we had one recently at the IGO, so we had the opportunity to actually see how the cameras worked, and actually we're able to track the individuals going right around the school, watch them do what we thought they did, and be able to hand the pictures over to the police to go find them. So I think it's a well-designed, extremely high-grade system. It's not the old camera systems, if you will. It's if someone coming into the front door, the secretaries or whoever's letting them in will have a very clear view of who they're letting in, that type of thing. So I think it's a great system. And we do know it took us obviously a while to get to this point, but I think Aaron and his team did a phenomenal job. I think the other side of all of Aaron's stuff is just like on the facility side, the backbone of the rest of the work that happens all day, all summer. So you've got the entire tech team, the data people dealing with cleaning up all of the data, all of the scheduling, all of the grade stuff, making sure all of our main databases are up to date and stuff like that. And that's a massive amount of work, obviously, that happens through the summers as well, turning over from one year to another year. Obviously, seniors leaving, freshmen coming into the different schools and stuff like that. So I think, on top of all the bulk of the heavy work that had to be done this way, that's also going on at the same time. So.
And
Staff
a
is
few
really
other
stretched.
things actually I haven't mentioned. So Aaron's instituted a new process by which at the end of the year, each teacher in a large bag turns in all the technology devices they have, whether it's clickers, pens that require batteries. They turn it all in, labeled, there's a checklist, what they turned in. They go through, verify everything, see if anything needs maintenance, updating, and put it back, and teachers pick it back up when they come back. So that's
great.
really a great preventative process. I mean, it's not like people want to do one more thing at the end of the year, but it really helps them to know where all the equipment is, who has it. It's an annual inventory, and it's an opportunity for them to take care of the little things so that it doesn't break down during the year. So lots of those little things have been put in place by Aaron, who's has a very organized approach to managing IT.
Well, we
This
certainly
year, too,
appreciate that.
all that equipment, again, was inventoried, was tested as part of the classroom, being put back together after all the cleaning was done, and we know that equipment's ready for the teacher to be used as soon as they come back to the classroom, so.
That's great.
So it's a little bit of extra work for the teachers and for us, but it gets us off, I think, to a great start.
Yeah, and things can't go missing over the summer when things are being moved out and cleaned and floors waxed, and so it's really been very helpful, I think.
So
That
last,
sounds like a great system.
Last, I'd like to thank the community for being so supportive of us here, and thank my staff. Also thank Tony and his maintenance crew and all the custodians who work so closely with us all summer to help us get what we need to get done, so.
Well, I think we would like to
Excellent.
thank you for
Yeah.
everything you've
And
put into
everybody.
this massive amount of work over the summer. There's a lot of great things that are happening, are going to continue to happen. There was one thing I did think of with regard to the security cameras is when we got the funding for the cameras years ago now, we took a look on the policy subcommittee at our policies that dealt with school security and security cameras. I think maybe now that the system is up and running, it would make sense to revisit that policy, maybe have Aaron and Bill take a look at it in light of how our system is actually going to work, because it was sort of in anticipation.
I think it's
I think it's
probably in good
good.
shape.
I
Just
looked at
remember
it over
having
the
meeting.
summer,
Yeah.
but now
Because we
that
did,
it's
we
going.
But it's a good
followed
idea.
basically the policy that was
That's
redone
a
at
good
the time,
idea.
which was
Yeah.
that
Right.
it would be in public areas, not in classrooms, instructional areas.
Right.
We'd keep it out of that
Yep.
type of thing. And so we followed that
Yeah.
guideline. There are, the signs will be back hopefully before.
Oh, that's the posted
Well,
signs
For
that
the
I
next
asked you about a
couple,
couple weeks
they
ago.
were ordered early last week with a 4-day turnaround time, so hopefully in the next
Yeah,
couple
so we'll have
days
those
we'll
also.
see
That,
those.
and that's part of that policy,
Yeah,
that we will
right.
That's right.
post
So people are
that
aware
the
that
Yes.
building is monitored,
Right.
you know, via security cameras and in social media.
And-
So those two portions of the last
They're,
piece.
And the last piece of the whole security thing, I feel like I need to say this, Aaron probably will kick me if I don't. We did a phenomenal job with the amount of resources we were given at the time. And I think you remember, we went back one time because we decided to add, the swipe capability in and stuff like that. But, we are now seeing with the cameras in, it's like anything. Once you put stuff in, you start to say, okay, well, if I had this, I would be that much better. If I had this, I'd be that much better. So what we will do is as we now get this worked out with each of the principals in the schools, find any of the weaknesses or any of the concern points that we have to deal with, and then, again, probably just come back at some point in time and look for whatever, hopefully be able to do within some of our budgets, whatever, to just continue to make this thing a more robust system as we go forward. But this is not meant to be the all-inclusive day one,
Right.
we're done with everything, but it was meant to be the majority of what we need to do, and now just kind of fine-tune it from here
I think
going
we all
forward.
appreciate the really thoughtful approach that you both took to getting this system and the phone system in place. Again, I think it's worth waiting for, but we're glad
Yes.
it's in place now.
As am I agree.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Aaron.
Take care.
Anyone else have any questions?
Good job.
Okay. Thanks.
Carl and Tony, both want to come up?
Good evening, everybody.
Good
I
evening.
think this is a nice time to introduce Carl Fuller. Welcome to the table.
I know.
Before we start, I want to
Welcome.
introduce
So,
Carl Fuller.
Fortunately for you, we don't ask you to come to this table very often, and ask Tony that, but I think, just to remind the committee, when the technology begun years ago to be shared with the town, but operated under our direction, same has happened with Tony, and I think that's great compliments to the skill set and the knowledge that they have, that we have people that are go-to people. And as part of that agreement, we have an assistant facilities manager now, Carl Fuller, and they
Excellent.
both oversee everything town and schools, so
Great.
Great
welcome
help.
to the team.
Thank you very much. Glad to
Good
be
have
here.
you.
So we'll start off another busy summer like you. You're always busy in the
Yes,
summer,
crazy
but
busy.
it is. So anyway, we started with the flagpole over at the IGO. It used to be in the middle of the driveway up there. I don't know how many times people hit it, but we finally removed it. We asphalted up there. We also did some curbing and sidewalk down on the side there. It was getting pretty bad. So that's almost, that'll be done. It's just about, they got the binder coat down and everything. And working on the entrance going in also. We had an old ceiling there to the entrance. We're putting all new lighting up there and some nice PVC stuff, so we don't have to keep on replacing the sheetrock. But we've been going pretty good over at the IGO. We had some heat issues too that we've been working on, and hopefully, if everything goes well, we could be upgrading over the springtime. But that was so much on the IGO.
But just to give the committee a heads up, would it be fair to say we hope the repairs of the boiler system hold over the winter and look for a spring replacement?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Would it be one of these?
Unfortunately, what we have is, we have two very large boilers. They both independently can run the entire building, so it's one at a time that runs it. In our other buildings that we've done all our upgrades on, we actually have multiple furnace or boilers that run at the same time if the need is there, so they're in series and stuff. This wasn't designed that way. Unfortunately, these boilers aren't really that old, which is kind of scary. They were done during the renovation of the IGO, which I believe at this point was probably
Early 90s?
90, yeah, it was like 94 or so. So that's really not old for a large boiler like these. I mean, we have, knock on wood, the ones in the elementary, most of the other elementaries are originals, so they tend to be very long.
Wow.
The problem is when we took this thing apart, we can repair it on a short-term basis, and we have to because of the cost of the replacement right now. We can't take the chance of spending our budgetary money without knowing, whether or not we have it for the end of the year. So we're going to repair them. We're probably looking at somewhere between $12,000 and $15,000 to repair the unit we have to repair. The replacement cost is about $115,000. and we can get about a $24,000 rebate, so we can get it down to about 90. But as you can tell, at this point, I'm not comfortable spending 90, as much as I don't want to, spend $12,000 just to repair it. And there's no guarantees that that will hold us long term, but we do have 2 boilers, and one can run the entire building. So to Tony's point,
Will we have to
we'll be okay
replace
for that,
both?
what we would end up doing more than likely is what we've done with the other buildings, is take both out and put in a setup system that basically modulates, and each boiler will come on as you need it. So therefore, you don't need 2 separate ones. What you need is one. So if you need, 150,000 BTU, one comes on. If you need, 400,000 BTU, one comes
Very
on. But if you
efficient.
need 500,000, or 2 million, 4 of them come on. That type of thing. It's the new way of doing it. It's a much more efficient. It cuts your gas costs down tremendously. We had that example when we did this building. We did the same thing as we did at the Ahern, and basically we were spending half the money at the Ahern for the same size building. So this process with the IGO would be the right thing to do, but again, it's an expensive one. We've done all of our work on pricing it and stuff, and it's just I'm not comfortable pulling that trigger at this point, so we'll hold on that for now.
Hey, Bill, if the repair didn't hold, how fast could we get a boiler in place, say
We
it's
could-
like January?
Yeah, we could
getting
do
nervous. I know,
it, we
this
could
is
do it,
great.
I would say, within a couple of weeks and have it up and running. But again, having the
You
other
have the
boilers that's
redundancy,
still
I
running
see that,
anyway,
but,
so.
could we get it,
Yeah.
the procured
I
and
don't
in
think
place
what we're gonna do is
without-
we're gonna.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the process, and we can get to only a part way into the repair and be able to test it to see if the
See.
boiler's gonna hold. If
Okay.
it's not gonna hold, we're not gonna spend the rest of the money, and we're gonna have to go to Plan B. But if it does hold, we know we can make it through the year.
Right.
So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and now, over at the Taylor School, we just kind of painted away on the railings outside and the post, and cleaning up the inside, stripping all the floors, got a new staff over there now, days and nights, so they're really
We have a
coming
great new
together.
team over there.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Great
working
new
out very
team.
well.
I mean, both of them work for us, but, it's great.
Yeah, no, they
It's
got a
really
great
going
crew
well.
over there now, we're gonna miss Jack,
Yeah.
Jack was a great guy, but he's still gonna sub for me here and there.
I'm sure.
So, and over the borough, we do the regular stuff in the summer. We don't want to make that place look too good, 'Cause we have the MSPA, we're doing a study on that, so that's good on that. Now, the Ahern, we did quite a bit of work over this year. I did a couple of classrooms. I had some construction debris coming up through the floor. So we started last Christmas, we did 2 rooms. This year, we did another 2. I'm just picking the rooms that really need them first, and we go through them. And that seems to be working really well. They put a sealer down and new tile and everything, so.
That's been a really good plan to keep doing that,
Yeah, we're
2
gonna,
by 2.
what happens every year,
I
I
love
see.
construction debris, though. That's a really nice term. We were calling it dirt, but I'm gonna switch to
Well,
calling it
that's
construction
what it is,
debris.
it's construction debris.
I like
The,
it.
the issue really
I
is,
just
for
sound so
whatever
much
reason,
more
and we've
with
never
it.
been able to figure this out, is that the soil underneath the slab of that first floor holds moisture. And therefore, the concrete floor has never really dried, and it's coming right through. And unfortunately, if the concrete never really dries, the adhesive that's holding down the tile floor never really dries. So every time we strip it and put chemicals to strip the floor down, it loosens up, and works its way under. Every time we wash the floor, it works its way under. And again, it's not drying all the way back out again. So it's interesting because some rooms were really bad and a lot of the rooms were just okay and not a problem. But so what Tony did do was like you said, last winter, we took the 2 worst rooms that there were. We pulled all the tile out. They came in and they epoxied the floors down and put a sealant
They
that's
grind
100%.
it
Grind it
first.
down, yeah.
Then they put the epoxy.
Yeah,
and
and then
So that will
redo it.
stay.
And, and they've been perfect ever since. So we know we have, and it is rather expensive, it's about $7,500 a room, so it's not a cheap process. So that's why we wanted to test it to make sure that it even worked, because if it didn't work, I wasn't, gonna go too far with it. Worked extremely well. So now we've done the next 2 rooms that are bad, and what we'll do is just keep chipping away at it as we hit rooms that are just not holding right. We'll just, schedule the right time to do it and go back in and do those. And I think that's the practical way to attack this particular problem. It is not anything more, though, than the fact that the tile and the adhesive has never really dried.
It's not
It looks
mold.
different, looks, crappy when it kind of pushes through, but it's nothing
Been
more than
tested,
just that.
it's not mold.
Tested multiple times.
It's great to hear, because it's been a chronic,
Yes.
parent complaint,
Yeah.
right? So that's nice that you guys have found a solution that's
Right,
working.
and it's a
yeah.
10-year warranty on the,
On the product.
to make sure nothing
Right.
comes through. You know, that's very hard to find, but
That's
we
also
did.
Great.
We also, this year, as we stripped and waxed the floors, you know, we got in there and we got to paint the rooms. We really didn't have, you know, they have, you know, Dave Pignani did a great job painting the rooms, and he had some help too from my guys, and I think that's the way to do it. That's something I gotta start, you know, doing every school. So we painted, if you go in any of the classrooms over at the Ahern, all the rooms have been painted.
Wow, I bet that looks
It's a
fantastic.
huge project.
Yes, it is.
And
I
you
think we
know, I
might have
would
used
say
about
it's
50
very
gallons of
proactive,
paint.
because we don't wait until all of them look really terrible. I just thought, you know, that was really great, just to get the whole school done one summer.
Yeah,
we
so
know
next
we're-
year I can, you know, pick another school.
Yeah,
You know,
I think there's been
it's a
years
long
ago, like
process,
too
I mean.
much piecemeal. You know, like the classroom looked a little gingy, that one would be painted, and you can see that here, so I think that's a great plan.
It is one of our issues for the high school here, because one of the things that wasn't done during the renovation is a lot of the rooms are just concrete block walls, they're not painted. And we've started, we've probably done about, I don't know, eight or nine rooms so far. The problem with the old block walls in this building is that they are literally, they're like sponges.
Absorb that paint.
They
And,
drink the
It's
paint.
incredible how much paint just goes right into the walls, but it really does look much better. We did 2 really large rooms here this summer. They were combined rooms, room
Oh,
220
wow.
A and B. And it really, when you walk in that room now, it's just totally different. So I think that's a process that we can do. I mean, we can do that during winter break, we can do that during different times. But it, you know, a single room can literally take a week because of the number of coats you have to put onto it to get it done. So, but we'll continue to, as Tony said, kind of strike at that and just keep moving through. So it's just a matter of time.
I can hear Martha Slattery smiling from a distance. Remember when we were going through the building and she wanted those
Oh, yeah.
rooms cleaned up?
Remember that? I remember
So
that one.
Martha's happy somewhere. That's great.
So we also installed the new special ed playground behind the Ahern Middle School. It's on the back side where the soccer fields are. That's, they pretty much just finished it the other day. We just gotta groom it up a little, but
This was part of a plan because of kids that are transitioning out of the IGO and up into the middle school. But it really is for the exercise capabilities. We didn't have anything like that in the school. You know, because again, most of the fields are just plain fields for regular recess. This is really an exercise type of scenario.
Is it fenced off, or is it?
No, it's open. It will have cameras on it to monitor.
Where is it,
so.
Bill, specifically?
If you go into the back, there's one area that's like an invert
Yep.
courtyard.
Yep.
Right.
It's in the middle of that.
Good. That's
Perfect
So it's a
spot.
nice area. It's right
Perfect
off of the
spot.
classrooms where the kids will be.
And it's
very
fairly
easy access.
specialized
Yeah.
to make sure that their IEPs are accommodated,
Right.
and
That's
we
great.
definitely had some
Fabulous.
programmatic changes, which we always change based on the needs of the kids, and this is a great addition to the
That's
school.
exciting.
So that's,
Excellent.
Joe
Probably get right
Joe
down
has a
there.
question.
we also did the refinishing of the gym floors over at the Ahern, both floors, and we painted the gym this year. I know we have a lot of activity going in there with elections and all that, so.
Joe, did you have a question for Mr. Musali?
So the playground is not for the public, right?
yes, it is. It's-
Off school hours,
yeah.
yes.
All of our.
Any of the
playgrounds.
playgrounds outside of school hours can be used by the public. They can't be used during school hours. But after school hours, yes. Good question.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tony.
Well, then we go to the high school. We did a lot of work up at the main offices. Bill got some new furniture, and so we upgraded the secretary's office, principal's office, and all that. And we also, you know, we painted a couple of rooms, like Bill said, in the building. We finished the gym floors also. Every year, that's a thing to do, just keep putting it, you know, it just protects it. Also around the corner here, there was an old magazine book storage room. We converted it into a conference room.
Oh, that's great.
We just put the lights in the other day. The only thing we're waiting for at this point is some furniture in there, so we gained another conference room here.
Where are the books?
Which
The
is-
magazines?
No, there's another room here, but most of the stuff that actually they weren't, it was all older stuff that they weren't using anymore. So whatever they wanted, they either put into the periodicals or they put into their other storage here. So, you know, it was basically a room, but We also moved, we have a good portion of the sped offices up above this area here, and they needed kind of a private area with parents to come in and stuff, as well as what the main office needed occasionally if there was a bigger group that came in. So when we looked at the size of the room, it was a perfect size room to be able to manage this whole thing, and again, in an area that's relatively quiet and not in the main traffic of the building. So there are no real conference rooms in this building, if you think
We
about
don't
it.
even have a real conference room in
Yeah.
central office. We use the open space up here, so we're hoping to use it
Yeah.
as well. So we are challenged by conference meeting space throughout the district, so.
Joe, do you have one more
I was
question?
gonna say that, is it downstairs or upstairs where they have the new conference room?
It's downstairs, Joe.
Right over there, then do they have a door where you can shut?
Yeah,
Yep.
oh yeah, it's all
Your
locked.
private.
Yep.
A private room?
Yep.
Just like the Ahern office conference room?
It's similar.
It's actually
Yes.
much. Yep.
Right, I
Sounds
checked
like a
it
great use of space.
Yeah.
It is. It's much better. Yep.
Please continue.
And then we just do the regular district-wide, we did about over $500,000 worth of stripping and waxing, shampooing,
Easy.
removing all the
Summer,
furniture
yep.
from the classrooms, taking all the gum off the bottom, scraping everything,
All the
putting
fun
everything
jobs.
back, cleaning it. It's a good overhaul. And we installed I installed a new security system throughout the schools for the alarms. We had Sauna 12 before, but now we have a decent company. It's, it's like anything else, it meets, it's an upgrade, because now you can, we see it on the computer, what time this was on, what time it was this on, this, like, we'll be able to change people's codes, users, so it's more hands-on now instead of dealing with a company to do all that.
Right.
But that's a big plus. And we cleaned all the boilers throughout the whole system. That's something that's, we gotta be ready for winter,
Oh, yeah.
And then we just, we're in the process, they started today, they'll be doing it for the rest of the week, but we're doing all the playgrounds,
Oh, that's good.
putting all new mulch just to kind of keep with the regs
Yeah, it
and the
gets
safety.
packed down
Yeah.
really easily, so that's
And,
fantastic.
and just the general housekeeping and changing filters to all the HVAC units and electrical repairs. We're following, IT, they put up a new projector, and we gotta get power to it, So that's the kind of stuff we just kind of keep on going. Did all the grease traps. It's just a yearly thing. Do the grease traps to all the kitchens, we do the septic systems and the other schools that need it. And, cleaning the hood system, having all that. And when you do that, you're ahead of the game, and it's not so bad every year. So we've had a pretty interesting song.
Sounds
I
like
would
you've
say
been
so.
busy. Any
Good work,
questions?
Tony.
So,
Good work, Carl.
any
Absolutely.
questions or
Thank you
anything?
both. Does anyone have any more questions?
We appreciate it.
Appreciate everything you do.
Joe has one more
Welcome,
question.
Kyle.
Yeah, how often do you guys have to replace mulch, just the playground?
I do it yearly, and we just keep adding to it because it dissolves after a while. So we gotta keep
It
adding.
has to be a certain thickness.
Like every year, once a year? Like
Oh, at least once a year, yeah. And then during the year, usually in the springtime, we'll go out and we'll fluff it
Fluff it,
again. And I tell
That's
the
a big job,
custodians
too.
too to go out there and kind of keep it. I am gonna try to find some matting. They do make matting for it. It's a little expensive, but I wanna try it somewhere. And what you do is you put the mat down and then you put the mulch over it. So that way they don't keep digging
Right.
away.
Mostly at the swing areas, that's,
That's where, yeah, basically where the swings are.
I
'cause that's
did
what
playground
happens.
cleanup with the Cub Scouts for many years at the Taylor School, so I know what it's like to get out there with your pitchfork and
Yeah, it's a
turn
lot of
that
work.
out. So, thank you.
But like I said,
for
that,
that.
the crew really did a great job, maintenance and the custodians and everybody really got a good team here and, and it's, you gotta have them to do it.
I want to give a shout out to our grounds people too. The highway department is doing a wonderful job keeping our fields and our areas all
Yeah, we
mowed
actually-
and taken care of.
We actually,
throughout the
I
district.
asked them this year, and it was really nice because it was a dry year, so I guess they
Yeah.
had a little bit of extra time. But one of the things I'm sure you probably have noticed by now, if you drive by the front of the Taylor School, the old wall, I'll give the term wall, but rubble
The
that used to go
stones,
across the
yeah.
front, they removed all of that and just put grass in there, so now it's nice and clean across the front there.
It looks great.
When we put the flagpole in, Chris McNamara did a beautiful job at the IGO with the flagpole. It actually looks like it's a block concrete setup. It's this big circle that goes to it. And then the Tree and Park came in and basically brought in topsoil and spread that out and sorted the whole thing out and then seeded it. So they really did a nice job cleaning that up. You know, the curbing that was put at the top of the IGO again because we redid the paving up there. So the IGO basically, in the last 2 years now, we have totally done the paving over. We fixed all the curbing issues that were there because it was all concrete that was decaying. Now it's all granite. So we should, you know, from a maintenance point of view, we should be in very good shape on a longer term basis than what we've been. But Tree and Park did all of that for us this summer. They did a great job on that, so we're very happy. And actually, the DPW is the one who's doing the sidewalks and stuff with their equipment and stuff for us. So we've had a kind of a nice thing. I think I'd like to have, you know, just say to Carl, I mean, obviously you've been here for a short period of time, but, you know, what is it that you see in the district, you know, coming in from the outside? Or what are your thoughts, I guess?
I'm very impressed that, you know, you guys don't mind spending money to fix things, you know. It's, you know, I've been to a lot of different jobs over the years where people just put patches on things, and these guys really do a great job at going in and figuring out the problem and come up with a long-term solution, so that we're not fixing the same problem yearly or monthly. So that's definitely an area where I'm definitely impressed with how things are going here.
Good to hear.
That doesn't save you money in the long run. Just
No,
keep
it doesn't.
patching the
Band-Aids
stuff.
don't
No,
work.
absolutely not.
It leads to a little more frustration. So.
More expenses.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank
Thank
you
you so
for all your hard work and the great summary of the work that went over the summer. Anyone else?
Good
We're
job,
glad to have
Tony.
Carl here. He brings his
Absolutely.
own
Welcome
skill
to the
set, so
team.
it's a nice
Thank you very
balance
much.
of skill
Thank
sets
you.
going on in our team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's an impressive amount of work
It is.
by our people.
This summer's a very
Yeah,
tiring.
summer is
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
crazy
every
busy.
year.
The flagpole at the IGO really does look fantastic. I was
does.
actually
It really
taking a walk
does.
this morning, and I stopped and took a photo of it and posted it on my Facebook page because it was just so very pretty. And Chris McNamara did a wonderful job around the base. It looks phenomenal. So moving on, we're a little bit behind schedule, but we'll catch up. To the school committee vote to approve our 2016-2017 school district goals. You have the edited draft in your packets that we discussed at the July meeting. So all of our proposed changes are in here. Did anyone have any additions or thoughts? Do you think we should read through the entire thing? I know in the past, sometimes we have, and then sometimes we haven't. We haven't made huge changes, but we have made a few.
I'd suggest maybe you just read the categories for the public, but not the sub-bullets.
You don't want to hear them all again?
I second that, Bruce.
So, no, that's fine. I know that's how we have done that in the past. All right, it seems like consensus says that we'll just to remind the public, our school district goals, our overview of them are, we have first communication and community relations. The second deals with student achievement. Our third category is financial management. The fourth is policy development. And the fifth is the superintendent's performance. And those 5 areas remain consistent from year to year. And then underneath each heading, we try to focus on where we are and where we want to be for the coming school year. And we had a great discussion in July about our bullet points here. And really, there's a lot of consistency with what we have done in the past and continuation of good policies. Is there anything anyone would like to add, or?
Just that once the committee votes on it, it will be on the district's website, on the
Right.
main webpage, so if people are interested in what's on it, they can easily go and find it
Yeah.
tomorrow.
And it's sort of a
Ish.
roadmap for our meetings throughout the year, because
It
it
is.
does ask you for
Yes.
different updates
Yes,
throughout
exactly.
the year in accordance with our goals, so, all right.
Tina, I'll offer 2 thoughts, if that's
I
all right.
would love
First, I want to thank Janet. I think we captured here the
Yes.
nuances and changes, and just reskimming them again. I think, you know, we do have the same categories, but we've tweaked a little bit some of the key areas to update them, so thank you. I think it's well captured. And a very, very minor edit, but just if someone would pick this up down the road. The 4th bullet down in the communication, community relations, where we had the discussion about we could have teaching and learning highlights, and I would just propose we say and/or student recognition, so that it doesn't read that we have to have both. I don't want to put Amy under too much duress.
That makes sense. I think that was the context
Very
of our
minor,
discussion.
but
And/or
Yes,
student.
that's
We both suffer on that, because I would have to find 2 per meeting, and she'd have to write them up, so we would like to motion that we like it. We don't get a vote, but we like it.
Well, I'm confident that you could come up with both.
Well, I'm not.
I think Bruce's point is a
And/or
very good one.
Yes, that was actually the discussion,
Yes, it was.
so that was great. I didn't catch that, but that's, yes, thank you.
Bruce.
so I'll make a motion that we approve these as the new school district goals for 2016-2017 school year.
I'll second.
Wonderful. All those in favor? 500. None opposed.
Thank you.
Wonderful. All right, moving on. We have the first reading of policies from our policy subcommittee. All of our policies dealing with alcohol, drugs, and tobacco needed to be tweaked a bit due to passage of new legislation that has, actually, I think it went into effect in January, but we needed to have them in place before the start of the school year. So thank you to Chris and Bevy for getting these ready for us for this meeting. And I don't have to read them this time, do I?
I'm just, as
Don't you?
always,
I
Who would
think-
like to start?
grateful
think we
for a
should let-
policy subcommittee, because honestly, it is unusual for a district to keep their policies so current as we do, and it is a gift to us who administer the policies, but it's a gift to families and students as well.
I
To be
agree.
clear, so thank you for the time. I know it's not a small
Well, seeing
amount
as
of
I've
time.
read several myself, I think we should give the dubious distinction to Chris to at least begin this evening.
Junior senator gets
Senator gets
All right, Chris,
dubbed.
you are up.
Teaching about alcohol, drugs, and tobacco, is that the one we'll
That's
start
the
with?
one on top.
Okay.
And read the file number, maybe?
File IHAMB. In accordance with state and federal law, the Foxborough Public Schools shall provide age-appropriate, evidence-based alcohol, tobacco, and drug prevention education programs in grades K through 12. The alcohol, tobacco, and drug prevention program shall address the legal, social, and health consequences of alcohol, tobacco, and drug use, with emphasis of non-use by school-aged children. It shall include special instructions as to the effects upon the human system, the physical, emotional, psychological, and social dangers of such use, with emphasis on non-use by school-aged students and the illegal aspects of such use. The program also shall include information about effective techniques for resisting peer pressure to use alcohol, drugs, or tobacco, including but not limited to prescription drugs. The objectives of this program, as stated below, are rooted in the Foxborough School Committee's belief that prevention requires education, and that the most important aspect of the policies and guidelines of the Foxborough Public Schools should be the education of children and youth on healthy decision-making. To prevent, delay, and/or reduce alcohol, tobacco, and drug use among children and youth. To increase students' understanding of the legal, social, and health consequences of alcohol, tobacco, and drug use. To teach students self-management skills, social skills, negotiation skills, and refusal skills that will help them to make healthy decisions and avoid alcohol, tobacco, and drug use. The curriculum, instructional materials, and outcomes used in this program shall be recommended by the superintendent and approved by the Foxborough School Committee. This policy shall be posted on the Foxborough Public Schools website, and notice shall be provided to all students and parents in accordance with state law. Additional, Foxborough Public Schools shall file a copy of this policy with the Department of Education and Secondary Education, DESE, in accordance with law in a manner requested by DESE.
And we read legal, all the other little bit. Legal reference.
All right, legal reference, MGL 71-1, and then 71-96. Cross-reference, GBEC, Drug-Free Workplace Society, Drug-Free Workplace Policy, JICH, Drug and Alcohol Use by Students,
I just had two little things. Thank you, Chris, for the first reading of that. I think in the second paragraph, the second sentence should say with emphasis on, not with emphasis of.
Where are you?
Where are we?
The second paragraph
Oh,
on
second
the
paragraph.
first page, I think it should say with emphasis on.
On.
Later in the
Where?
same paragraph.
Can you read this now? I'm sorry.
here.
Oh, I saw emphasis on below it, and so I
and
couldn't
I did
find
too.
it. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Where I was
that's
looking.
why I think
Yeah,
it
yeah.
should be with
I agree.
emphasis on.
Wait a
So
minute.
It's in the
it's-
red. It's the red part in the
in the
second
red.
paragraph.
The second line in the second paragraph.
There you go.
And then down at the bottom, I think you caught it while you were reading.
Yeah,
The
just-
very last paragraph.
Oh,
the
yeah,
second
that-
sentence
that's
should
more like a
say, the
typo.
second line on the last paragraph should say additionally, not additional. Other than that, sounds
And
good.
I'm just going to give one other, on the second
Yes.
bullet, to increase students' understanding, I think it's students plural
yeah,
with the
plural.
apostrophe
Yep.
after.
I didn't catch that.
Good catch.
All right, very good. So
All of
with
us
those three
grammarians are
changes-
now happy.
Yes.
So,
right,
quick
amen.
reaction for, again, public consumption.
Yeah.
So it looks like one of the main changes is we're including tobacco now and what used to just say drug and alcohol throughout the policy.
Yes.
Uh,
You will see that the next policy we're going to discuss is just striking, having a separate policy on tobacco use by students and folding it into one policy.
Okay, great. And I do think it reads really well. I mean, I think it's logical
Do
and
too.
concise.
I like that they updated the objectives of the program. I think the three bullets there are very concise. But when it says to prevent or delay the use, or to prevent delay or to reduce. I think the three bullets really are speaking to current day issues and what the goal is in prevention programs as a whole, rather than just say, to understand these things. It's what's the goal of, to do it. So I
The
thought it
policy
good.
was last changed in 2008, so it's time.
It's time.
To be updated in light of.
Not dramatic changes,
Not
but I think
dramatic, but-
definitely improvements.
I would agree. Thank
Current
you.
relevant.
First reading, first policy, done.
Are we gonna do them, are we
We
accepting them
should-
tonight, or are we doing it
No,
individually?
I
reading, first
recommend that this go on for a second reading.
Okay.
We don't need a motion on that, do we, or do we?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
By
Put
consensus.
it on our next. All right.
Would you like me to do the next one?
Oh, sure.
The next one's all crossed off.
I know, you give the long
So
one.
now you get how this works.
Yeah, so you see now that, once old, twice smart.
Just store it up here.
These, these two kind of go together.
All right, Bevy.
Tobacco use by students was the old file number JICG, and it makes more sense to strike that and include the pertinent information in the new file JICH. So that will read now, alcohol, tobacco, and drug use by students prohibited. A student shall not, regardless of the quantity, use or consume, use or consume, possess, buy or sell, or give away any beverage containing alcohol, any tobacco product, including vapor, e-cigarettes, marijuana, steroids, or any controlled substance. The Foxborough School Committee prohibits the use of consumption of alcohol, tobacco products, or drugs on school property or at any school function. Additionally, any student who is under the influence of drugs or alcoholic beverages prior to or during attendance at or participation in a school-sponsored activity will be barred from that activity and may be subject to disciplinary action. This policy shall be posted on Foxborough Public Schools website, and notice shall be provided to all students and parents of this policy in accordance with state law. Additionally, the Foxborough Public Schools shall file a copy of this policy with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, in accordance with the law in a manner requested by DESE. The source of this was Mask, March 2016. Legal reference, MGL 7121, 7196, 27440A. We'll be cross-referencing this with ADF Wellness, IHAM Health and Wellness Education, IHAMB Teaching about Drugs, Alcohol, and Tobacco, GBEC Drug-Free Workplace Policy, reference MIAA rules governing student athletes.
Thank you, Becky.
I have one correction. The last paragraph, Foxborough Public Schools apostrophe instead of apostrophe S.
Let me look.
Because further down you do Foxborough Public Schools.
Oh,
You say I do plural down below.
schools. Yeah. It should
S,
be.
then apostrophe.
Correct.
Thank you.
Chris?
Yeah, I just have one question. With the new law or new vote in November, should we put something about marijuana in any form with the fear of edibles?
I think
Or does this cover it?
I think
Yeah.
it should cover it where it says any controlled substance and, in any, I think it does cover it. I think if that law passes, we'll have to
Cross
take a look
that
at the
bridge,
law and perhaps tweak the policy then, but, as I understand it, we need to have this in place for the start of
Okay.
our school year, so.
It does list marijuana
it does say
specifically in the
marijuana.
first paragraph.
So I
think that covers
It
it.
doesn't say
think
smoked
we are
or.
So
covered.
that'll cover it for anyone?
It covers it.
I think it would, but it's a
In
good question.
form.
Then the other one was something that me and Beverly had discussion with. In the second paragraph at the end, they'll be barred from that activity and may be subject to disciplinary action. If it's a student, let's say, at a school event, the parents will be notified,
Yes.
okay?
That's part of the disciplinary procedures.
Okay.
So if you read the parent-student handbook, it will tell you what happens in that case. So the procedures that follow this policy are in the handbook.
They're in the handbook. So the parent will be notified and any help would be
Always.
offered for them. Okay, just wanted to make that clear.
I did have one question that occurred
Yes.
to me tonight as I was reading it. So the old policy that's gone, the one thing that's in there that I think we're covered by law, but I just would like us to look into it before the second reading. So this obviously was an inadequate policy, no wonder it's gone. But this covered tobacco use by staff and members of the public on school property. And I think it's a law that there can't be smoking on public property. So that disappeared though in this, because this policy is strictly about students. I just want to make sure that that banning smoking on school property is covered somewhere, so that it's
Like
still
at a
clear.
That
game,
is a
like
good
a
question.
person watching.
It just,
The
it's a law
student
that I think you can't,
Yeah.
I think it's a state law. You
Yeah, I think
can't
it's a
I- I
state
smoke
law.
I've
on,
seen
on
before,
on any public
I've seen people
property.
smoking, I always wondered that, like when you're people watching the games, that you
So
mean?
I just don't want,
Yeah.
anybody, even.
Right, anybody.
If you're a staff
You
member
know.
and you smoke, you gotta get in your car and drive away.
Right.
So I just wanna make sure we're covered there somewhere, so that it doesn't disappear in here.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
I mean,
make
it
sense.
can disappear in here and should.
Well, we're
I
still
just
governed
wanna
by it,
know,
yeah.
for my own sake, where is it that says it, so if we have an issue, then we know that, what governs that. That's all.
I think you're right, though. If you check, you'll find it's under the state law.
I think it's a state law that all
It's
public
state facilities.
buildings, there's no
Yeah,
smoking.
I think you're right. I
Yeah.
think you're
You
absolutely
just
right.
can't.
I just would like to know where that is, so that people don't think because this policy was changed to students
Right.
only, that somehow that rule goes away. It's actually a law.
Isn't it in the first paragraph of the one we just did, though?
It's only students. This
Oh,
policy
okay, yep.
clearly
All right,
only
I see
covers
what you're saying.
students.
Oddly, this one only covered students too, but
I
we
know.
threw that sentence in
Right.
there. I mean, there's nothing stopping us from putting that particular sentence back into this
I don't think you need
policy,
to. I just
but-
want us to know
Yeah.
where the authority is so that we're all
Well,
clear.
state law, it trumps our policy
Correct.
manual, so.
So if somebody could just say,
Yeah.
somebody
does.
like you, Madam Chair, who's a lawyer, could just say, here's where it is in the state law, so we can all rest
I will take a look at
assured.
it before we vote on these at our next meeting.
I'll look in the MGL
Okay?
book as well.
That's a good question. I do think we want to.
Or we could add students and staff, or,
Well,
Well, it's everybody.
Everybody.
but it's, you know,
You're not,
People.
yeah.
Members of the public, it's important too.
Members of the public.
Right. So I think That's all.
I
It's
will-
minor.
I will check, I'm
but-
gonna make a note
Anyone on
of it,
school
right?
property.
Any
Anyone on
member
school
of the,
property.
any member of the public.
On the school property.
I will make sure we're covered before we vote these in at the next meeting, so I will report back on it.
But I would like to recommend that this be moved forward also for a second reading. Consensus?
Thank you. I think we have consensus on that.
Take it away, Chris.
All right, Chris, you get the long ones.
File JLCD, administering medicines to students. Medication may not be administered to students while at school unless such medicine is given to them by the school nurse acting under specific written request of the parent or guardian and under the written directive of the student's personal physician. See below for exceptions. Medicine that needs to be given during a field trip will only be dispensed by the nurse and administered by the principal or their designee. When a school nurse is not present, a student who needs medication during the school day may be called to the office at the scheduled hour and reminded by the secretary to take the medicine. This provision only applies when the correct dosage of the medication has been placed in an individual container clearly marked with the student's name, the dosage to be administered, and the time and/or conditions under which the medicine is to be taken. In addition, the student must be able to recognize the medicine that he or she is taking. No one but the school nurse and those others listed in the medical administration plan acting within the above restriction may give any medication to any student. Exceptions. The school district shall, through the Foxborough Public Schools nurse leader, register with the Department of Public Health and train personnel in the use of EpiPens. Foxborough Public Schools may, in conjunction with the school physician and the school nurse leader, stock nasal naloxone, Narcan, and trained medical personnel and first responders may administer nasal naloxone to individuals experiencing a life-threatening opiate overdose in a school setting. If Foxborough Public Schools wishes medical personnel to train non-medical staff in the administration of nasal naloxone, the Foxborough School Committee shall vote to approve such training, and the superintendent shall ensure that medical personnel have a written protocol which complies with medical directives and regulations from the Department of Public Health. Following consultation with the school nurse, students who fall into the following exceptions may self-administer medications. Number one, students with asthma or other respiratory diseases may possess and administer prescription inhalers. 2, students with cystic fibrosis may possess and administer prescription enzyme supplements. 3, students with diabetes may possess and administer glucose monitoring tests and insulin delivery systems. 4, students with life-threatening allergies may possess and administer an EpiPen in the event of an emergency. Local reference, MGL 7154B, Department of Public Health Regulations, 105 CMR 210, 244 CMR 3, cross-reference life-threatening allergies.
I think there should be a policy letter next to that life-threatening allergy, because we have a policy on that, and I think it must have dropped off. I'm
Oh,
not sure, but it,
the policy, yes.
within our
the file.
policy manual, so.
Where
We
it says
do.
cross-reference.
I
The
just-
file, you need the file letter
The
number.
file letter number.
Yeah.
And it occurs to me, maybe we should ask our nurse leader to just maybe take a glance at this policy. It's consistent with the new regulations that went in place after the opioid legislation was passed by the Mass State Legislature. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But perhaps before we vote on this,
I will.
we could
Thank
just
you.
ask her
That's a
to
good thing.
take a quick look at it and make sure that we're not, wading into uncharted territory, and
I
that she
will.
knows what we're doing and we know what she's
Thank
doing.
you. That's a
so.
great suggestion.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a
comments?
couple.
Yeah.
So I just want to understand the intent and what this says. Maybe Chris and Bev, from your perspective, or others who've had a chance to read this. First of all, on field trips, in that very first paragraph. So when it says medicine that needs to be given during a field trip will only be dispensed by the nurse and administered by the principal or their designee, at first I was thinking, what happens if the nurse isn't on the trip? But I guess the implication here is it would be dispensed by the nurse before the trip
Yes.
and then administered by whoever is designated.
Yes,
Is that the
and
intent?
that
They
is
always
really
have
done
someone
on a
with them.
case-by-case basis, depending on the child, depending on the medication, depending on the age of the child. It all, everything, the school nurse in that building decides on a case-by-case basis what happens on the field trip, and whether we have to get a nurse to go along, even if it's a substitute nurse, sometimes we'll do that.
They do that with diabetics.
Yes.
I've gone on trips with that, and if they don't have a nurse with them, sometimes the parent will go. And that's probably what they mean by
Right.
designee, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Or if the parent will go, then we don't need to send a school designee necessarily.
Right.
So all of that is, a lot of work goes into field trips from the school health.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we were clear on who is, what does dispensed mean?
That's a good question.
And what does administered mean, but I think I understand it. And then my second question, so the intent under exceptions where it says that we can stock Narcan,
Yes.
the intent of that first paragraph is that we don't administer it, the trained medical personnel and first responders may administer it.
Right.
But then that next paragraph, if I'm understanding it right, says that we can decide from a policy standpoint that people can be trained to administer it.
Yes.
If we so choose, which we haven't at this point.
We have not so chosen, but it does give us the potential to do in the future.
But
Okay.
currently, our medical people, our nurses are, and
Right.
our school physician has issued standing orders to have it on and have the personnel, our medical personnel trained in it.
Okay, thank you.
If we saw a need, hopefully not, ever.
I would hope not.
Just my personal
Right.
opinion there, but if we did have a need for
Right.
greater personnel, numbers of personnel, then we guess cross that bridge when
It
we get
is.
to it.
Accurate.
Do we have like a number of how many people in the high school have the Narcan on them?
No one.
No, well, the
Oh.
nurse.
It's kept
It's
in the
in the
locker.
No, I mean
nurse's
for the
box.
nurse. Is it just the school nurse has it?
Right now, it's our
Yes.
school
No,
nurse.
It's,
the high
yes, it's
school
only the
nurse.
school nurse, kept in the school nurse's locked
Well, I would also imagine
box,
our,
where other things are as well.
I would also imagine our school resource officer, Frank Azevedo, is
Well, police
also
department
trained, because
Yeah.
our police officers
Yes,
were
that's
trained.
true.
So he's another person who's in and out of our school buildings who has that capability as well,
So.
in his other training, so. But yeah, our school nurses do. Okay. Well, thank you. Any other questions? Bruce, did we
No,
answer all
thank
your
you.
questions?
Yep, thank you.
For the exception ones.
Yep.
Just when I was reading it, if Foxborough Public Schools wishes medical personnel, would it be if the? Because I felt like I wanted to add a the
We
when I
can
was
add,
reading.
we can add a the.
We like to make everybody
I
happy.
kind of like the,
I'm good with a the. Fine.
because it implies an entity
Yes.
instead of like the schools deciding on their own.
Right. Excellent.
Okay, great. So, do we have consensus to move this one forward as well with the other policies?
Yes.
To our next meeting. Excellent. Thank you, Policy Subcommittee.
You guys
No,
did a great
very
job.
much, thank you.
Great job. All right. We are back on schedule. I like that. 8:15.
Yes, we
School
are.
committee appointment and delegate to the MASC convention. Well, typically, we have nominated Ms. Lord to be our delegate. Unless anybody wants to arm wrestle her for it, I would be
I wouldn't
very
da- I
happy
wouldn't dare, Bev.
to have Bev be our nominee, particularly this year. Maybe we could leap ahead to the end of the
Yeah.
process.
Could we?
I think we
Since
should.
we're, I think it would be appropriate at this time. Would you
think it
like
would
to
be.
do the honors?
Well, I would, on behalf of the Foxborough School Committee, I'd be happy to take my turn reading aloud.
Please.
So it is, we recently received, as you know, the committee and myself received a letter.
And I received a letter
Yes.
with great surprise. Sure
Says,
beats the bills
"Dear
that
Ms.
day.
Lord," I'd be happy to read, because I'll emphasize the right words where she might just say, on behalf of the MASC Board of Directors, I'm writing to let you know that you have been selected to receive a Mass Association of School Committees Lifetime Achievement 2016 Award. This honor recognizes your contributions to the children of the Foxborough School District, both through your years of service on the school committee and through the many activities in which you have participated as an advocate for children. The award will be presented at our MASC Life Member Leadership Awards dinner on Friday, November 4th, during the MASC-MASS 2016 Joint Conference. And the rest just says, I hope your schedule will permit you to join us. I'm sure Bevy can adjust her schedule since she's here anyway. And obviously this nomination was by your fellow committee members.
Thank you very much for
So
your
I think that's a
confidence in me.
wonderful
Congratulations,
nomination.
Bevy. We were very happy to nominate you, and we're very happy that you are getting this award. Well deserved.
Yep.
Well, I have one question. I always like to be the early bird to
Sign up.
no, well, for the whole convention, right? Because it saves Foxborough some money.
Yeah.
So have we paid for my dinner? Because apparently it's free. If not, I want,
Get our money back,
if not, I want to,
Go and actually have a dinner, so no, we haven't.
oh, we haven't. So we can
she's
save
saving
that
us some
for,
money.
we can save, either that or I was going to lobby with Mask if I could possibly bring
dinner.
2 guests.
Yeah.
And I did. I was very excited, so I quickly texted my son, could you possibly meet me on Friday the 4th for
Oh, I
dinner?
sure hope so.
Is he gonna be
At
here
the, in Hyannis. He texted back, need more information.
Send them a copy of the letter.
Yeah, that's all.
Congratulations,
proud of you.
Bevy. Do we need a formal vote for Bev to be our MASC?
I'd like to nominate Bev be our appointee or our delegate to the Massachusetts
I'll second
Association of School
that.
Committee Convention.
All those in favor?
Thank you, people,
5-0.
for your confidence.
Thank
Thank you.
for your many years of service to our school committee and our children in Foxborough.
They're starting to add up here a bit.
How many years now, Beth?
13.
All right. Now we're ahead of schedule. I like that. Moving on to
Pressure's on, Deb.
the BICO quarterly update. Mrs. Spinell?
Well, I'll make sure you're way ahead. So, as you know, the Bi-County Collaborative, we belong to our Special Education Collaborative. That collaboratives, I'll just say it once this year, are required to provide a quarterly update to all of its member communities, Foxborough being one of the BICO Collaborative community. So they have had a slight increase of students from last year, which is good. We'd like the collaborative to stay healthy. And in particular, the elementary programs have increased by 30%. A lot of that is in the mental health behavior spectrum of disabilities, no surprise to us or any member district. And they're starting to expand their work out more into Blackstone Valley, into that area as a result. Let's see, professional development, I think one of the updates last year, it mentioned about how they're expanding their professional development program to go from very little to a very robust PD program. And so they have actually expanded the participants from 98 to 300, over 300 during the past school year.
Wow,
And that's
that's
a function of both the number of PD opportunities they're running and the quality of them and the pertinence
Wow.
of the topics to educators currently. So that's been really very helpful to have a strong partner for professional development. One of the things we're very interested in is they're starting this fall a registered behavior technician course for paraprofessionals, leading to that certification, which is going to quickly replace the CABA, or Certified Applied Behavior Analyst certification. And so that's supposed to be a more robust training for people who work with students with behavior issues and behavior management issues. So we're actually very interested in sending the first of our paraprofessionals who want to go, because it's a choice. And as you know, in their contract, we provide an extra stipend if they are certified either as a CABA technician or now with RBT. So we're trying to provide incentives to our educational assistants to become a little more expert in that area. They're very valuable to us, and the people we have who are trained do a very good job.
Have we already offered that to them and they've come
Yes,
forward?
they know about it, yes. Yep.
I knew we did during the contract, but has anyone come forward yet?
I don't know. I would have to check and see who's registered.
Okay.
Let's see, what else in the highlights? I know you can read the rest of it. They run a summer program. I don't want to highlight the last bullet, though. They have a new, they've successfully negotiated a new transportation contract with Van Pool. So if you can imagine all of the member districts coordinating transportation to all these specialized programs with 1 or 2 students going at a time from all different areas. And they've always coordinated regionally. So if a Mansfield and a Foxborough student were both going to a program that's housed at KP Middle School, for example, they would sort of carpool, if you will, that that transportation. But it's challenging. But I want to give Bill Yubner credit. He's one of the strongest business managers in the BICO Collaborative. And when I go to the Board of Directors meeting, they often give us an update on the transportation situation. And the negotiation of a new contract with them to save all the member districts has been huge and very much appreciated by all the superintendents who serve on the board. So
Thank you.
thanks, Bill, for taking the lead on that. But hopefully, so single vendor model before they had people driving everywhere. That is my update. Now I just saved you 10 more minutes.
All right.
Yay.
Love it.
You're
Now
always
we
very
are-
efficient with that.
It's my goal to be even more so.
All right.
Our backroom collaborative person will be very pleased, too, not just your committee.
So we are 10 minutes ahead of schedule, moving on to other matters. Mrs. Finelli, would you like to begin?
Opening day of school tomorrow for faculty and staff, so no students yet. Next Tuesday, if you're watching at home, send your children to school. But we'll have opening day tomorrow for staff, which is always invigorating. I'm looking forward to it. And then we have tomorrow and the next 2 days, 3 days of professional development, faculty meetings tomorrow, and all exciting preparations for school.
And
So I don't know
what
if you give an
time?
overview, maybe a little bit.
What time's tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning is a breakfast at 8, well, breakfast early, and then we start in the auditorium around 8:45.
Okay. So with professional development for the 2 days following tomorrow's opening, we will have for all staff, understanding by design, really going back to curriculum and having a focus for all staff in the area of curriculum development. And then on the opposite day, looking at working with the students with social emotional, mental health, and looking at how do we help students that have anxiety and behavioral issues, some very practical strategies for teachers in classrooms. And then looking at the law is that every 3 years that we have to train staff, licensed educators in signs of suicide. So we're going to have that piece. We're going to have a refresher on darkness to light, which we've continued to train all staff. Update on restraint, where we had done the restraint policy, those kinds of things, some just state mandated kinds of things that we need to do. And then, what am I missing?
Elementary teachers will, all the elementary staff will have training on the rights and needs of transgender students. And then we plan to repeat that session for middle and high school in January, about mid-year. Let's see. Well, you said understanding by design, and, some of the educational assistants are having more workshops on how to create and participate in a culturally sensitive educational
Cultural
environment.
competency
Cultural
pieces.
competency, which that cultural proficiency or cultural competency can be a gray area to nail down that this is what it means, this is how we define it, and this is what you do if you are culturally competent or culturally proficient as an organization. So those kinds of things that we feel will really get us off to a solid start for the year.
Sounds good. Very valuable,
Yep.
all of that. Wonderful.
I think that's it.
Okay. Well, we had new teacher orientation.
Yes. Oh,
Last, you
sorry,
want to
yes.
talk a little bit about that and some of our new people
We had
who are coming in?
19 new teachers, and we have a few new administrators, which I've already talked about, and my plan is over the next meeting or two to have them come so you could meet them if you haven't already. The new teacher orientation, a great group of new people, and we had our usual training. They had the 2 hours on darkness to light. Did our usual bus tour of Foxborough. We had a lovely lunch up at CBS Scene, and then the second day they had training in our Office 365 management suite and all of the tools that come with it as a professional organization, along with writing. They had an hour and a half of writing across the curriculum, regardless of what role they are in. Writing is important. And so they get an overview of how we approach writing in the district and some tools and resources to go to. If they teach writing, there's more robust PD related to that. But so we had that, and then they had an overview of the mentor program with our 2 wonderful mentor coordinators, Mrs. Sue Forrest and Miss Kristen DeRico. And they then guide them throughout the whole year under Amy's guidance. And so that got off to a start, and they spent the last afternoon with their mentors. So it's great crop of new people, and we welcome. It really is, and then we welcome several other new members of our staff, including food service, extended day, all of which are asking really great questions when they go to, say, the darkness to light, new educational assistants. Hired up one more today, and I think we're almost done.
Great.
So hopefully people show up
So
tomorrow.
you had a busy summer also.
It has been extremely busy, I would say. I thought it was going to be a little less so, but not
Never
true.
is.
You've been telling everybody good job all evening. It's now that
It's
time
really
we
been busy.
throw the accolade back to you.
It was fast. I'd say it's a fast summer. I didn't expect it to be so fast. That's
think-
great.
I think I agree
Okay.
with you there.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you have anything to add for
I do
other
not.
matters?
I do not.
I would
Abby?
like to just wish everybody a very challenging and successful year.
Marilyn?
Yes, I'd like to address that we, now the school committee is part of the opioid task force. We had one meeting in July that Tina has, I'm actually the person who's representing our school committee, and with Debbie Spinelli, and Tina went to the first meeting as I was on vacation.
In July.
And they just learned to, where we all fit in, where all the pieces fit in. And I went to the last meeting, and I think we just compiled more information that how we're all going to work together. We were talking about changing the name to FACE. I guess we've had this in the past where it's Foxborough Anti-Substance Environment. Is that the acronym? I couldn't
I
remember
thought
what
it was
that.
safe, Foxborough.
It was the other way
Go
around.
back to safe.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Substance abuse-free environment. Well, that's the name of the old coalition we had, so I think we're gonna go back to that, but
Substance
abuse-free environment, safe Foxborough.
abuse free environment. Thank you. I was trying to remember what it was. I was like, I hate
So I
our
think we're going
we
back
do
to
some-
that.
Yeah, we're
But
hoping
we
to
do
vote on that.
also
next month.
want to have our town manager, Bill Keegan, who is
Yes.
directing the task force to come to our next meeting.
That would be great.
And
we are moving
they've been
forward.
busy as well, so we weren't quite ready for tonight, but we will be next. I already wrote that
Yep,
down.
and we are moving forward on that for all the concerned citizens about the opioid crisis that the country's in the midst of.
And the athletic department, the new athletic director running the family, the parent night this Thursday.
fall sports night?
September 1st, fall sports night, will include that and he's been working with Chief O'Leary, who I want to thank publicly for everything he's done, but he's taken the lead in planning that presentation with our new
Excellent.
athletic director.
Well, I
so.
actually had brought
Very
the Foxworthy newsletter to
Oh,
ask
good.
you about that, because
Oh,
it
good.
says right in there that the fall sports night, September 1st, Thursday, 6:30 PM for all fall athletes and their parents. The night will include a speaker video sponsored by the Foxborough Police Department. So,
Yes.
and that will address some
Yes.
of these issues that we've been
Yep.
discussing
And
at
Chief
this
O'Leary
table.
mentioned it a little bit and
Fantastic.
described it at our task force meeting. So I think that's exactly what this task force should do, which is bring everybody together. So when everybody is addressing a piece of the challenge, we all know where it fits, and that other people that represent other agencies agree with the approach, the speaker, the fit. So I think that's been very helpful, and I look forward to better things even.
Excellent. Well, thank you for updating us, Marilyn and Debbie, and I'm looking forward to have Bill Keegan
Yeah.
come and
I would, if you don't mind,
address this.
I would, if the committee, I would like to invite Chief O'Leary too.
I would
since-
love to invite
Oh,
Chief O'Leary, and
yes.
I would like to do
And I
an
think that'd
official
be a nice-
recognition
I
for
think
him.
that'd be
He's
great.
done so much
He
for
has.
our students and has been such a wonderful part of our
Yeah.
school safety and security, and just-
Tremendous part.
I can't say enough about Chief O'Leary.
Couldn't do
so-
without him.
Yes, I think if we could invite him to our September meeting,
Thank
that would
you.
be excellent. I'd love that. Okay, Chris, do you have anything you want to?
Just want to echo what Beverly said. I want everyone to have a safe and fun school year.
Excellent.
You too.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
When you go back on Thursday. Bill,
No, I'm good.
do you think we could mention the meeting we had with the MSBA
sure.
in August? I was sorry, I don't mean to put you on the spot there, but maybe
that's relevant.
now would be a good time to update the rest of the committee on where we're at with the MSBA.
So we're down to one last questionnaire that needs to be completed, which is really just around the facilities maintenance program that we have and how we manage that whole process. But the last step that they needed to do before they even get that is a kind of an agreement on what the enrollment projections are. They're not projections that we create, they're projections that their system creates. And so we had to fill out a lot of information. Some of it was information that they already had that we supply on an annual basis, and they collected it all through DESI. Some of it is, information from our town as far as building permits, number every year and types that are issued. And then they also had, issues around what our buildings themselves could hold, capabilities that way. So we did submit that back when it was due on July 12th. They questioned or requested that we come in to have a review of what their findings were from that, and any issues that would come out of that, obviously might adjust those numbers one way or the other. myself, Deb Spinelli, Chairperson Tina, and Michelle McCarthy also as a principal went in. Obviously, there's a much broader committee that will be put together for the base work, but this is something that what they were really looking for is the school's version of what the enrollments are and how they view them. And so we went in as the four of us. They presented their numbers. We had a few issues that we uncovered in their models, a couple problems that were out there, plus the fact that we all know how the lodge impacted us when that was built. Well, now the domain that's being built behind the 99 similar size, 248 units, their system really doesn't account for that type of thing. That's basically 5 building permits under our town side of things, but it's 248 units. So we gave them all that information, and they basically said they'd go back and do some reworking on their schedules and their models. The reason that this is extremely important is, quite honestly, it's kind of the foundation of the whole process. So once we all agree on what our enrollments are, their system projects it out for 10 years. And it shows that currently it shows a slight dip over the next couple of years, and then it shows our community coming back up. And again, there's a lot of historical data that their model works on. It was a lot of census information and stuff like that. So they show us starting to go back up, which is the same exact curve we've had over the last couple of years. So when we went, 25 years ago or 20 years ago, we went from a number up here, and we've gone this kind of like seesawing curve. And again, it's based on turnover in the community, housing changes and stuff like that. So their model showed the exact same thing. We just don't think the drop is quite as significant as their model because, again, a couple of the issues within it. So we're expecting to hear back from them, and once we do, they'll be requesting, if we agree at that point with their enrollment numbers, that the community or the committee signs off on that. And then the next step is, like I said, the maintenance thing that we're working on right now, and then basically we're ready to have them agree to us moving into the next part of the process.
Great,
Very
thank you
exciting.
for the update.
And I think we're a little bit ahead of what their timeline is for us, which is good. And when Bill says we uncovered some differences in how they look on enrollment, he really means
Him.
he did. So anyway, I know.
Thank you, Bill.
But I think it's really great that we're a little bit ahead, because it then moves them to the next phase without dragging a little bit. So I'd say, just so in case people are wondering, at the outset, we're hoping for a late 2017 start to the actual physical part of the project.
We
Is that
advised
fair?
them that what we'd really like to see
Roughly.
is a start for next summer, but we know that that's an extreme
Stretching it,
challenge.
yeah.
But that's why we're pushing as hard as we are and trying to move things along as quickly as we can too. So.
Great.
That's all good news.
Any questions for Bill? Anyone?
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
I was
second
going to ask
that.
Janet if she had anything to add.
Oh,
Do
I'm
you have
very-
anything to add? All right,
I'm good.
then. All right, then go, Bevy.
I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned.
I second that.
All in favor? Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.